Good afternoon, everybody. It is the QA. My name is Dave Tim. I am your host from Guns and Tactics. If you guys haven't checked us out online, please do so, gunsandtactics.com. This is the QA, the monthly episode where we answer your questions live. As always, if you can't make the live show, you can catch us wherever you get your podcasts, such as YouTube, on the website, Apple Podcasts, all that other stuff. Search for Guns and Tactics, and you can get us wherever you get your podcasts. Or the best way is obviously to participate live, because that's where we give away the prizes, and we do give away a prize every month thanks to our sponsor, Global Ordnance. I got a new computer, dudes, and looks like we have a few people starting to tune in now. And I have to say, the new computer did not go as smooth of a transition. So all my fancy titles and overlays and all that other stuff are actually on the old computer, which is dead. So you guys are dealing with me. But I think I did get the alternate camera working, so I can do this, and we can kind of have a nice, more glamorous shot there, and I can at least go back and forth between cameras and kind of change it up a little bit. And then let's go ahead and see if I can find the comments, even though, yeah, this is the joys of everything. Oh, what does this do? I have that generic title, which is not great, but you can head on over. You can email your questions to the QA at gunsandtactics.com, and then we obviously will answer your questions live as we go, and we'll go from there. So, all right, why is my phone not on Do Not Disturb? The joys of live streaming, guys. So for those of you guys that are watching, go ahead and leave a comment, and I'm going to try to check in to see if I can figure out where the comments are, because I have no idea where they went. Come on, comments. Boom. There we go. All right, now I can view comments. Can somebody do me a favor and leave a comment? And just to make sure everything's working okay. I try to usually do these live on Facebook and on YouTube. However, the Facebook settings lately, so it's just YouTube right now, and that's what you guys get. So I hope you guys are doing well. It's 12 Central for me. Hopefully you guys are joining me over your lunch, maybe. Ooh, that sounded good. Did you guys hear that? Today's beverage is a draft cola. Those of you guys that know me know that I like a good soda. And this one is Nitro Pepsi. Hashtag not sponsored, but Pepsi if you wanted to reach out. This is nitrogen-infused soda, and the carbonation is actually really smooth. I don't do well with carbonation, and the carbonation with this stuff is nice and mellow. So I can still enjoy a cola and go from there. So, all right, man. All right, we got Dave Grawl, and we got Jake777. So I'm doing good, man. How are you? But let's see. All right, we're good to go. All right, as you guys start to leave comments, you can do so. I'll answer those questions. I'm not sure what kind of a turnout we're going to get today, but I do have emails that we have to get to, so we're going to do that. And then also, real quick, I do have to give a huge shout out and special thanks to our Patreon supporters. Kevin is number one. He actually upped it to the Nifty 50 Club for the month, so he is our number one supporter. Kevin, definitely appreciate that. I would love to show you as the graphic on there. Unfortunately, like I said, the computer is not really working. Hopefully next month I'll have a whole new live setup or whatever. But obviously we have the studio. I changed it up a little bit, and I think we did this last month as well. I had to kind of rearrange. I needed some more shop space, so that's what we did, and I kind of like it. I actually kind of like the angled look, and I actually kind of like the new setup. So I think this will serve me well for a while, and plus I can do some other content in here and go from there. So there's no questions. I feel like I am literally just rambling and rambling and rambling, but that's what I do. This is what a podcaster does, right? All right, questions. First one is from Kevin, and let's see here. I don't remember where we left off. I believe it was towards the end of March, but yeah, basically Kevin said he upgraded his Patreon supporter. So again, I super appreciate that. Let's see. Where should we start with? Let's see. After the infamous Cobson incident, legal practices, I don't know what Instagram put a ban on private gun training. Or is that like a IG's office, some sort of attorney's office maybe? So I'm not really sure about that one. What role does CCTV body cam GoPro, in class? Again, man, I don't know what kind of experiences you have down in Illinois, but I have never experienced any of the scenarios that you guys are describing. As far as recording, I don't have a problem if people record. I I just ask that they let me know ahead of time, because sometimes I might put like a out of context, reference or a joke or something like that. And I think it's a little bit easier to, just know, and that way I can kind of keep an eye on content and all that other stuff. Because the only thing that I will say about training from the trainer's perspective is that it is pretty easy for things to be taken out of context. So someone will post a snippet or a clip of the class and not understand the context of the whole drill or whatever, and then people run with it like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this guy's teaching this, that, or the other thing. So that's the only thing I just like to know if people are recording. I don't care. And honestly, like for a while for the police department, we would even record our scenarios, and that way if we were ever challenged on, well, did you do this or did you train on this? We could say, look, we did train on this, and here's the recording of that, and we would actually save that. So I don't have a problem with recording. And a lot of agencies were doing that as well, and some were calling it, a best practice. What are some things that can be done when a person casually is pointing a pistol at them, similar to talking with a pistol? Obviously, that needs to be confronted. Okay, they're obviously ignoring the safety rules, so I've never seen anybody do that casually. Now, I've had people kind of like after a drill kind of come down and maybe get a little bit more relaxed, so we've had to kind of realign them, but I haven't had any of that. But I would definitely point that out as a safety rules violation and make sure they have good muzzle discipline. All right, what blind experiments do you perform or have seen performed on students to prove out a concept, technique, or gear improvement? I don't do a lot of blind experiments. I know you did one where you turned the red dot off and then you had some people go through like use of force or something, and kind of asked if they saw the dot to kind of see. And I get that, but I think you would also... you have the ability to jeopardize some trust with your students. You have to be careful how you do that. So obviously, I think you just have to be good about that and kind of realize that it's a training tool, and hopefully it's a good reinforcing thing. And, people are realistic to what it is. So there we go. Now, if I actually sit up straight, my neck doesn't hurt so much. I got the mic here. So this is much better. This is what I should be doing. Proper posture is important, everybody. All right. Robbie is tuning in. Hello, Robbie. Hey, thanks for joining us on the Guns and Tactics QA live show. I appreciate that. All right. We're not getting a ton of questions. We have about 14, 15 viewers, give or take. So we'll just kind of talk. What do you guys want to talk about? Leave a comment. Tell me what's new, what's exciting, what do you hear about, and we'll talk about it, and also check in with email questions as well. I'm telling you, this nitro soda, I hope they come out with more flavors because it is really, really good. All right, this one is from Dave via the email. I just watched your excellent red dot video. Which iron sights do you recommend when using RMR so the irons are only barely visible? Obviously, it's going to depend on your mounting. So if it's a plate system, if it's direct mount, generally the Ameriglow 429s are their suppressor height, and they generally sit pretty decent. You didn't mention which gun you have or anything like that. Otherwise, Night Fission with an F, they do make some lower ones as well, and you can look at those. And then I want to say CHPWS had a different line of iron sights at different heights as well. But generally, yes, you're going to want to, I personally prefer them as low as possible so they are just a backup. But that is what I would recommend as well. And you might have to play around with it, get the caliper out, and kind of measure how high you would need them. And then you'd basically measure from the bottom of the dovetail up how the suppressor height sights are, and you can kind of get a visual idea of what it might be. And if you don't have a caliper, you can just use a piece of cardboard and cut it to the appropriate height too, give or take if you have a ruler, that kind of thing. You can be pretty creative, right? As an instructor, this is from Kevin via email. As an instructor, which striker-fired pistols tend to be the easiest to become proficient with? Obviously, Glock, M&Ps, the SIG 320, they're all pretty simple, so I would argue that the simplicity of all of them is pretty close. There's a couple little things amongst them, but they all are generally the same thing. Kind of like what I tell dudes in class or gals is that if you can drive a Ford, you can drive a Chevy. If you can drive a Chevy, you can hop in a Toyota. Now, it might take you a second to figure out where the buttons are, where the lock is, where the heated seats are, but the gist of it, you're going to pretty much have the gas pedals in the same spot, the steering wheel's in the same spot, but maybe the gear shifter or whatever. But most of it is going to be pretty much the same. And that's kind of how it is with a lot of guns. There's just a couple little things. But generally, stuff is about in the same-ish position. I think that was the main one from that one. Let's see. I want to kind of go through as many of your questions as I can, Kevin, but these are just from the early month. So let's see. What self-defense ammo do you recommend? Generally, Federal HST. Gold Dot G2 is great. I actually just did a chrono test with some Gold Dot G2 plus P out of a Glock. I'm starting to redo all my data for red dot stuff, and I'm starting to use a 19 or a 45 as kind of my go-to Glock barrel, just because more and more agencies are going to either G45s or 19 is arguably the most common carry gun in the country. So I'm just using that as kind of my standard. Obviously, a 17 would have a little bit higher velocity, but that's what I'm going to start using. But anyways, they were getting like 1,140 or 1,160 feet per second with that, which is pretty solid out of that G2 plus P. And the recoil wasn't too bad. But otherwise, I really like the HST 147 grain. That works well in a lot of different things. And let's see. Do you like using a cordless drill, a power bit screwdriver, or something else for chamber cleaning? I just use manual chamber cleaning. So I just use a brush and I'll just rotate it a few times. Usually soak it with some carbon killer and call it good. When you have to clean, inspect, and lube dozens or a few hundred guns at a time, man, what tricks? Kind of make an assembly line, if you will. I don't know. Teamwork always makes the dream work. I've never had to do hundreds at a time, so I don't know. I'm guessing the armorers would probably split that up into kind of more of a daily thing, and obviously ultrasonic cleaners and other stuff else could definitely do that. So, all right. In perfect, honest way, have you ever heard of citizens or police officers needing to perform a mag change on their AR? Yeah, we have seen officer-involved shootings where they had to do reloads. Now, as far as muzzle, then you kind of go on discipline and accuracy discipline and all that. And yes, there is that, but nonetheless, if they had to do a mag change, they had to do a mag change. Let's see. Where do you get technical data plan information for AR parts when garbage gun companies use failed parts in their build? I can't distribute the technical data plan because technically, probably a dude like me isn't supposed to have it, but I got it from an industry colleague, and I don't know where they got it from, but I don't even know what dated version I have. But basically, the technical data plan, for those of you guys that don't know, is kind of like the exact technical specs for the AR platform. And it obviously was originally had by Armalite, then Colt, FN. So there's a few companies that have a legit military contract that would have that technical data plan. So, all right, we got King Dingaling. Hey, man, afternoon. How are you? And apparently, now that I'm switched back to the live stream screen, a few people have dozed off because they don't like my rambling. So here's the deal, dudes. If you're just tuning in, leave a comment and let's talk and see what you want to talk about. This is from Dave. I like to use Winchester Ranger. Yes, Ranger is a great round. The 147 jacketed hollow points. The Ranger is actually kind of the next evolution of the good old Black Talons, except for they don't call it Black Talons anymore. But yeah, those Rangers are absolutely a great round. Actually, I might even have some on the shelf still, some of the Rangers. We actually used to carry Ranger duty ammo back in the day, but when we carried 40s, we carried the Winchester Ranger because it had an FBI contract at the time. So, all right, let's check back in with emails. Let's see here. I got an offer from Nestle Corporation. Well, just more email spam trying to get me to respond. And let's see. What are some ways? Again, I've never had anybody show up drunk or causing a scene at my classes. I kind of would like to see this. This is kind of interesting, right? Forced tattoos or challenge coins after an OIS. Again, I have never heard of anybody being forced to get an tattoo after an OIS. Is that an Illinois thing? I don't know. I've never heard of that, and I've talked to a good amount of officers who have been in OISs, and I've never, local as well as abroad, and I haven't heard of that. Same thing with the challenge points. I've never heard of that. I've heard of medals of valor for a situation that truly was heroing and deserving of that, but I haven't heard of a policy on that or anything like that. So again, I don't know if that's an Illinois thing or what, but when I travel around the country, I have not heard of that. All right, let's see here. What makes sense as a solid policy for firearms instructors and female students? And again, you're kind of referring to flirting and everything like that. And again, I don't even do that. Don't go from there. I know that probably happens, but I just, again, when I travel and everything like that, I don't worry about that because I'm not involved with it. How's that? So, all right, let's see here. I'm trying to get through, make sure we don't have anybody else's questions. And this one I did want to talk about, and let me loop back, check in with the comments here quick. And Forest Rider is replying, nice trophy. Yep, you noticed it right there. Trevor is actually in a group with me, and On the last live stream, I think I had the same trophy, and it is a rotating trophy every week. So I wanted to make sure I won it this week, so that way I could have it in the live stream as kind of a joke amongst the group. But yeah, it definitely is pretty cool. And Trevor, you can come on over anytime you want. Yeah, we're making some progress, slowly but surely, but I understand if you can't make it either. It's supposed to be a crappy day weather-wise, too. All right. Well, what do you think would happen if the firearms instructors had enough character and class to never insult, degrade, or humiliate their students? Not ever. So I 100% agree with that. I know there are some dudes out there that do stress-inoculated training. They yell, they do all this other stuff or whatever. I get it in a way, okay? Me personally, that's not my style. My style is generally more of a coaching, teaching, building style. And I tell dudes, I am just as excited on day one, hour one, as I am last day, last hour. Now, do I have off days and stuff like that? Yep, sometimes I do, but man, you got to get your head in the game when you're teaching a class. Those dudes are spending their money, but more importantly, they're spending their time with you, and you need to make sure you value that. So I actually talk about this. In my classes, I have a term that I call instructor craft, and it is truly the mindset of trying to be a master at your craft, a master being a firearms instructor. And we talk about what it takes to do that and the credibility that you have to earn and your enthusiasm and your attitude. And I'm 100% a firm believer in that. And also kind of a master-student approach where you should always be learning and you should always be trying to master your craft. Maybe we'll talk more about that in a future podcast. That might not be a bad idea. Dudes, the comments section are slow. Oh, hang on. I didn't mean to. Okay, King Dingling. I might have hit the wrong button. I don't think you got banned. I hope not. I had an alert come up, so evidently I right-clicked when I should have left-clicked. But, dudes, leave some comments. We don't have a ton of other emails. I want to make sure I check in to see what else we got. Let's see here. Kevin, this is another training one. What are some positive or productive activities that can be done in the evening before or between class dates? Yeah, so what I usually do when I travel is I will generally, if I go away for like a 3-day class, usually the last day is kind of off limits because everyone wants to get back home. I might be traveling. I want to get back so I can pack and fly out the next morning or whatever. But day 1 and 2, I usually throw it to the class that I would like to invite everybody to go out for like a class dinner, a class meal. And we used to do that on Saturdays. Oh, my microphone just changed. All right, let's see if the shirt. All right, now it's thinking. There we go. Yeah, if I bump this just right, the USB cable, I really need to get an XLR interface. Hopefully I'm back with the good audio, but the XLR interface I think would be so much more robust, but this USB is so finicky that it definitely is kind of crappy. Okay, back to meals. Here's what I'd recommend. Day 1, I'd start out, I say, hey, I'd like to invite everybody to come out, especially if you're traveling, whatever. We used to do this when I used to teach up in our area. On Saturday night, we'd invite everybody to a local bar and grill called Lucky's, and we would go there on the Saturday night of class, and we had a great time. I would even email people ahead of time about it, or the regulars would know, but we just had a good time hanging out. Nobody's getting drunk. Nobody's doing anything crazy. We're having a nice meal, and we're literally getting to know everybody, and yeah, so it's just a great camaraderie time or whatever. And then on the other day, I would usually go to my host, especially lately the people who are having me, and I try to like ask them if they wanted to go out, if they want to hang out, or if I have an assistant instructor, maybe I'll take them out or something like that. So it just kind of depends on the situation. But sometimes for these travel classes, everybody's local, and they're like, hey, sorry, my kid has softball tonight. Hey, sorry, this is whatever. So it doesn't always work out that way, but we try to. So we definitely try to. So that is, that's kind of my question as far as other stuff. I definitely do like kind of a camaraderie and hanging out and let people know that, you're a person too. And I do think there's some opportunities to become friends too. Like actually, Trevor's here, and Trevor's a very good friend of mine. We've known each other for a long time. But Dustin, who usually is a regular viewer, what's crazy is that Dustin started out as a student, and he, I can't even remember how he found me. Maybe Dustin, if you're watching, you can chime in. Was it in one of the Minnesota training groups or something? But all of a sudden, Dustin showed up for a class, and we just started having a good time. He fit in really well, and him and I then started hanging out, and after towards the end, as we got to know each other better, when we'd have a class, I just let him crash here sometimes too. Or when I would travel teaching a class in Minnesota, if he wanted to tag along, we would crash together, or I'd make him drive together, carpool, whatever. So sometimes you can become friends too. And Russell, I haven't seen Russ for a long time, but we've become friends as well. So there's a lot of students that I've become friends with because you're just like-minded, good people. And I don't have this whole holier than out thing like some of the other instructors. So that's the good question there. This one's from Russ's Rockin' O and HO Trains. Dude, I love train set. I always wanted a really cool model train set. So I just think that's pretty cool. So I try to give you like a little bit of a DJ intro there. But yeah, instructor yelling just does create undue stress. And here's what I've also, like, if I really want to stress out students, all I got to do is bring out the shot timer. Seriously, just bring out this guy. Performance goes to crap. Every single time. And actually, speaking of which, dudes, this Kestrel, if it'll focus, there we go. I got this. I've been playing with it. I got to play with it a little bit last year. Somebody had one, and then Kestrel was kind enough to let me grab a demo unit. I want to say it was after SHOT Show. So I've had it for a few months, and I've been traveling. This thing is awesome. It's in my range box, but this Kestrel is arguably the nicest timer I've ever used. The only things that can make it better, and I'll talk about this in the full review, is if it came in neon green and if it had a side button. But otherwise, it's just about perfect. So that thing is just awesome. Absolutely awesome. But yeah, if I want to stress people out, all I got to do is bring out the shot timer. That's enough. I don't need to yell. I don't need to swear. I don't need to belittle. And we all have bad days, like I've flubbed a demo before too. Like I'll be shooting and all of a sudden shank a shot, and do you think I would do any better if people started yelling, or if I started yelling and throwing a little pissy party? No. You got to own it, and you got to kind of go from there and explain it and, kind of run through it. So let's see here. Pistol Pete, how's the DWX holding up? I have not shot it in a few months. I did shoot it, I want to say in the winter, just to kind of bring it out, kind of see, because I really do like that pistol, and it was fine. I should get it out of the safe and shoot it again, because now that I have the optic ready, it is pretty cool. I'm going to run into those dudes at hopefully NRA. I think the DWX would be so cool if they had a comped version from the factory. I know there are dudes doing aftermarket ports and stuff, and there is a little bit of warranty/performance issues with that. But man, I think that gun comped would be, ooh-wee, that'd be good. And optics ready. Seriously, CZ/Dan Wesson. Optics ready. Like, come on. They know it's coming. Like, they've hinted at that enough, but like, come on, dudes. Seriously, you need to do it. You need to do it. All right. Have you ever tested any of the Volquarts in 22s? No, but I really want to. I have some other parts in different things, but I do want to get a Scorpion. Those look pretty sweet. And their pistols look really cool. The one I was looking at was one of the Black Membas, and I definitely want to get a Volquartson. So I'm going to try to run into them at NRA and see. Speaking of which, oh my gosh, dudes, I totally forgot this. How did I miss? Who's going to NRA? I know this is a small group, but if anybody's going to NRA, I'm going to be there, and maybe we could do a meetup. I might hang out at the Stealth Arms booth, the Platypus thing. Might hang out with their booth for a while. I'm going to have a cool jersey, hopefully, if it gets here. It's going to look pretty cool to have neon green. As you guys know, I like neon green. But if you guys are going to the NRA show, let me know. And I want to definitely make sure we can meet up, hang out, do whatever. So I got some patches and stuff, too, that I'll be rocking and rolling with. All right, this is from Russ again. I don't know what state you live in. I live in Minnesota. And I don't have any ideas what's going on with the new anti-2As laws in Oregon. Colorado has some stuff pending. Minnesota is kind of pending. Obviously, Washington still sucks. I don't know exactly what's going on. I should probably learn more a little bit about Oregon. I don't know how people pronounce it. I've heard it both ways. But yeah, I think definitely the stuff that's happening right now sucks. Even Colion Noir just posted a video about how a New York judge basically ruled that the Second Amendment wasn't applicable in her courtroom or something. Now, I did watch it because I did think it was a little clickbaitish, and there's no footage or a direct quote from the judge. It was, I believe, a quote from an attorney quoting the judge, so I don't know the context and everything like that, but I would be curious to see how that goes. And one of the points that he brought up, Mr. Noor, is what if a judge said the First Amendment doesn't apply in my courtroom? People would probably be pretty upset, but we need to look at all of our amendments, whether you agree or disagree, whether you feel that an amendment should have limitations or not. It's called the Bill of Rights. Like literally the Bill of Rights, all 10 of them. So call me crazy, but I just get a little frustrated with some of that stuff. This one's from D-Tom American. Thoughts on a non-PCC or a standard AR? You know, if you're only going to get one, I would say get a standard AR, just because everybody should have an AR. You should have a rifle. Obviously, as far as capacity, they're a wash, but as far as performance, in the event that you had to use it for a defensive situation or hunting or whatever, obviously the traditional AR is definitely going to have an advantage all around, right? And everybody should have an AR. Now, the thing with the PCCs, they're just fun. Like, if you wanted to shoot suppressed, you can get subsonics, and they're really cool. They're great SBR candidates. Or if the brace thing is back in your state or whatever, you can certainly do a pistol with a brace. But they're just fun to shoot, and you can get some of them that are pretty low recoil. Now, a traditional blowback 9mm, I would argue, isn't necessarily less recoil than a 223. You can get a 223 AR shooting pretty smooth with the right buffer, spring, and a comp. I don't know if you're gaining that. I think sometimes some of the 9mm stuff recoils more with the blowback, but you can get some of the other 9mm that shoot pretty good as well, like the MPX, the MP5 is super fun. The Strybog, I have one of those. The B&T, like I like 9mm PCCs. They're just fun. I like them, and obviously it's cheaper ammo. Like I remember the good old days when you can get ammo for what, 17, 16 cents, even 13 cents for 9mm. Those days are gone, but that's when I would also argue a 9mm was an advantage as well. So yeah, if you only had to pick one, I would just do that. All right, waiting on your second platypus. See, then you'll have one more than me. I'm jealous. I only have one platypus, but I am going to be hanging out with Stealth, and you know what? The next one I'm going to order is going to for sure have that prickle texture. I don't know if you guys saw the video I did from SHOT Show, but they're coming out in bigger calibers, obviously. They have bull barrels now, but they also announced an aggressive texture, which just felt so good. So I was talking to Tim, and he was like, well, maybe, we could get yours, and, you can get this one. And it's like, I don't want to give up my platypus. Like, I don't want to get rid of that thing. That thing just shoots so good, and it's like a laser. I actually brought it to a class. The agency was all Glocks, and whatever they shoot, I try to shoot. I don't like to be that guy who shoots like the $4,000 comped XC while everybody's slumming it with like Beretta 92s. So they all shot Glocks. I shot a Glock, except for I did bring the platypus out, and we did a demo, and we let people shoot it. And I was like, see, dudes, it uses Glock magazines. No big deal, like no one have to worry about that. And everybody really who shot it really did enjoy it. I think those are, man, underrated guns for sure. And they're just great. Good quality. I love the dude that owns it. Good customer service over there. They make rockin' pistols. So if you guys have not checked out a platypus, you definitely should, because that is just a great platform. Really great platform. The only thing bad I'll say about them is they're just tough to get, because they're back ordered, and they keep getting back ordered. All right, for those of you guys just tuning in, because it looks like the numbers just crept up, go ahead, leave a comment if you have any questions. If you want to talk about anything firearms related or industry related or whatever else related, go ahead and leave a comment. Let's chat about it, and we'll kind of take this where you guys want to take it as well. This is the live show. It's what we do, and yeah. So if you also want to head over to the website, I'll have some links and stuff as well. And if you guys click on any of the ads or links or codes, it does help keep the lights on with some channel stuff with affiliate sales and all that. So anything that you guys do that way definitely does make a difference, and I do appreciate it. Likewise, for Patreon supporters, we do have some codes and coupons and stuff like that. So like iPro, Rudy Project, Defense Mechanisms, all that kind of stuff. We have all the codes in one spot, and we try to hook up the Patreon people a little bit more than we can. And I know I need to do more on Patreon as well to kind of get there. So yeah, good stuff I know to do. All right, this is and 22 rounds for Plinken were a penny. Oh my gosh, I know it, man. I remember buying like bulk ammo. It was crazy how good of deals you could get. And as far as your platypus, you have 4,500 plus rounds and only 2 failures, which are ammo. I had one magazine issue, I think, since, and it was definitely a bad. It turned out it was a clone magazine. I don't know how it got in the pile, and that's what Tim told me from Stealth. He's like, just use Glock mags. Some of the other aftermarket ones don't work as well. I'm telling you, if they made a nitro Mountain Dew, a nitro draft or a nitro brew soda, nitro carbonation from Mountain Dew, that might be the ticket. So far, I've only seen Pepsi and vanilla Pepsi. If you guys have seen the nitro Mountain Dew, let me know, because I would maybe pay one of you guys to ship those to me. So, all right, no more comments. we're doing good. We have a record number of viewers. Guys, you're watching. Leave a comment. What do you want to talk about? What questions do you have? What can I do? Otherwise, like, I don't want to call it so soon. It's only been a half hour, but if we need to, I will. So I can. I don't know. Let me just check on over back with the emails here quick. And let's see here. Are there any good, this is from Kevin, are there any good troubleshooting guidelines out there to help instructors troubleshoot and or coach problems with their pistol ejection problems, brass to the face, down the shirt, erratic, etc.? Honestly, some of it is on the armor side a little bit more. The police officer says the G22 just puts brass in my face. I noticed that their hand doesn't fit. So yes, it could be a grip issue, obviously, as well. Now, what Glock will tell you is, I've never yet to meet a national instructor that has ever done the frontline work to help with the failure to extract issues for the Shield, G19, LCPs. Oh, I gotcha. Yeah, and honestly, I have not had some of those smaller carry guns come through because mainly I've just been doing law enforcement agency stuff. So I'm a little out of that lane. But when I did do some open classes, people would run what they brung, and we would work with them on that. But at that point, I don't know if I would really argue that I was a national instructor. But so anyways, what I've had Glock say in the past is that, well, if the gun's extracting and ejecting, it's functioning fine. But I do agree with you, it should be ejecting correctly. And that's why Glock has obviously made issues with springs. They've made issues with extractors, ejectors. There's been generations of perfection. Am I right? So even Glock will make improvements from time to time. Nobody's commented yet if they're going to go to the NRA show. If anybody is going to go, let me know. We can definitely do that. And Just Fly Low, hello. Thanks for checking in, man. Appreciate it. And have I ever had a squib? Did I know right away? I had one squib long time ago, and I did know right away, but I was not shooting fast, or it wasn't at a match or anything like that. And it just definitely didn't feel right. Also, the gun didn't cycle, so it was just like the slide just kind of did a little bit of something like that versus the traditional cycle. And I knew right away, and I was able to unload, clear, and I could just tell something was going on. So we looked, kind of checked it out, and then I was just like, man, I wonder if I had a bad round. So for whatever reason, I had my gut tell me to field strip it, look through the barrel, and it was that. And then I carry a brass rod in my range box just for those squibs, and I travel with it as well, because every now and again we get one. And during like the pandemic, or not the pandemic, after Sandy Hook, when ammo was super tough, we would see more crap ammo and stuff like that. Dustin, thanks, man. Appreciate you tuning in. What you missed is I found this nitro soda. It's no Sprecher. Okay, let's clarify. Sprecher is still my favorite pounder, but this is nitro Pepsi Cola, and it has nitro carbonation. Hashtag not sponsored, but the nitro carbonation, smaller bubbles, smoother taste. And for me, this is great because it's not super carbonated, but it's just a classic cola. I'm not going to get into the whole Coke Pepsi thing, but I got to say, this is pretty smooth. So what you missed is a pounder of nitro brewed Pepsi Cola, and we were talking about that for a little bit. And then we talked about some other gun stuff and whatever, and how you should get a platypus, and how we became friends. So we talked about how that, because people were asking, Kevin asked a question about like post-class dinners and hanging out and that kind of thing. So that's what you missed, my friend. All right, the gun not cycling is a good thing, no tap rack. Now, here's a funny story. I did have one officer on training who did have a squib and did a tap rack, and then we swolled a barrel, technical term, bulged a barrel. So then basically, like, gun wasn't working, gun was down, took it apart, realized we had the squib, realized we sent another round, and for a while I had that barrel in my training kit, but you could actually see where that Glock barrel had the bulge. But what's cool is that the Glock didn't blow up. Now, obviously, there's a limit to how many rounds, but as soon as that happened, because the barrel was bulged, the gun wouldn't cycle, so we couldn't even cycle it or whatever. I had to literally take it back apart and start beating on it to get it to even unload, show clear, that kind of thing. So I had to kind of quarantine the gun, if you will. But yeah, that was pretty impressive, because obviously the Glock handled it very well. But we always see stories about other guns blowing up and stuff like that. So yeah, never a good thing. All right, cane sugar or high fructose? I don't know. That's a great question. I should probably know the answer to that, right? It says natural flavor. The directions are chill, pour hard, admire, and enjoy, which I certainly am doing. Oh, no. First ingredient is water. Next ingredient is high fructose corn syrup. Dang it. That's what makes the pounder so good from Sprecher's. If you guys have not had a Sprecher soda, it's either going to be like natural sugar or honey is a lot of their sweeteners, and man, their sodas are just tasty, delicious. All right, Russ is checking back in. It's interesting. I'm a lifetime member, but I did not know about the show. Really, yeah. I don't know where you're at, but this year it's in Texas, in Dallas. Last year it was in Indianapolis, which I don't know if I have great things to say about Indianapolis or not. I didn't really get to see much. I did go to a couple cool restaurants for NRA, but then when I just went to Indianapolis a few weeks ago for their SWAT conference, and unfortunately I didn't get to even leave the hotel. Like the conference center hotel was all like one thing. So I don't like living in hotels for 3 days. I like to go and explore and see the towns, and I'm kind of a nomad at heart. So if I go to a town, I want to go to like cool local places, cool restaurants, see what there is, walk around their little small downtown, go to their little hometown bakeries. Like that's what I love about travel training, is that I get to go see more small town USA stuff. So I'd like to learn more about Indianapolis. I got, really distracted there. But anyways, this year it's in Dallas, and it's in May. So it's about a little less, like 3 weeks, like May 18, 19, something around there. And I'll be there. So if you guys are going, I'll try to maybe do a live stream ahead of time as well, and we'll talk about NRA. And obviously I'll be doing short format coverage, so make sure you follow on Facebook, YouTube. If I'm not banned, or if TikTok's not banned, we try to do that as well. But we try to have the coverage from the show and try to put out as much content as we can. Have you ever worn out or needed to rebuild a gun? Kind of. I mean, springs in some parts definitely wear out. I've worn out extractors and bolts. Obviously, gas rings and stuff on an AR are definite wear items. But my highest round count pistol is my original Staccato P. It was not my first 2011. I've had STIs before that, but it was my first one that was the Staccato brand. And actually, that's one of the early ones where it might even say STI on the frame, but it says Staccato as the model. I can't remember if it was pre or post where they officially did the name change. I'll have to double check. But it's a 2020 Staccato P. I didn't buy the P19 because that's the one that everybody wants with the extended dust cover. And that thing has been a rock star. So I've replaced springs. I've cleaned out and had to kind of retune the extractor. And obviously we have to clean up magazines and other parts. But as far as barrel, slide fit, all the major components, still rocking strong. So, and that thing, no BS, a solid 25,000 rounds, if not more. Yeah, I stopped kind of keeping track, to be honest with you. I'm just not good at it. But there was multiple classes that I went to that were 1,000 round classes, or a 2,000 round class, or a 2,000 round instructor class. And then I was teaching to where I would have allotments of ammo that I would travel with. And I would know that over the course of these 3 classes, I would shoot 1,000 rounds over the course of these ones. And I just kind of stopped really cleaning it. I still wipe it down every now and again, but I would just lube it because I wanted to see. But that thing is just smooth. And Dustin, actually, speaking of which, we were at a 1911 class together, and the lead gunsmith from Staccato was actually in the class. And we were talking, and he wanted to look at the Voodoo, and he wanted to see. And I said, hey, I kind of want to compare this to my P or whatever. And he's like, yeah, let's take a look at it. And I was like, hey, are you one of those dudes who gets mad when people don't clean their guns? And he's like, no, I kind of like seeing dirty. I said, well, you've seen dirty. This thing's filthy. And like Dustin can attest, this thing had sludge in it. I probably let it go too long. I should not have gone that long, but that had a solid 10,000 plus rounds easy before I cleaned it. I would just add lube, shoot, add lube, shoot, add lube, shoot. And I was like, ain't nobody got time for cleaning. And that thing was filthy, like literal sludge. It was gross, but it was kind of cool at the same time because it just showed, that was a working person's pistola. All right, we're at 40 minutes. We're caught up on comments. I don't know if I'm caught up on emails. All right. Okay, here's one from Kevin, speaking of Staccato. What are some of the likes or features of the Staccato or STI pistols, or I'll just say all 1911 double stacks or whatever, that would be nice for a polymer striker-fired Wonder 9 to learn about? And then, now you say I cannot talk about the negatives for Staccato pistols. No, I can. I don't work for anybody, okay? So I don't work for Staccato. I don't work for any other pistol company or anything like that. I used to be on Staccato's blue team. We've talked about that in previous episodes before. Once I started working more in the industry, I could not be brand specific, so I told Staccato, I said, hey, I appreciate everything, but I can't, remain on the blue team because I can't be brand specific, which is one of the things that Staccato wanted their blue team / brand ambassadors to do, is obviously be brand specific. But so I can talk about whatever I want, okay? Nobody's going to cancel my birthday. The manual safety is just an ick that I don't want to deal with for a handgun. Here's the deal. I get that it's different, but we deal with manual safeties on our rifles just fine. We can deal with manual safeties on our pistols just fine. In fact, I teach manipulating it just the same. If I'm drawing to fire, I'm going to come up, deactivate the safety, press bang. Same thing with a rifle. If I was raising from my sling or whatever to fire, I'm deactivating the safety on the way. If I'm drawing to a ready, thumb is riding the safety, just like it would be on my AR. And it's so fluid now that I can deactivate and activate that safety on a Staccato just the same way. And if we look at the mechanical design of that gun and how it is kind of similar, I don't want to say similar to an AR, because obviously I know I'm going to get torn apart in the comments for that, but they're both single action guns. They don't have a drop safety. They don't have like a little trigger shoe. They don't have a disconnected striker. So I know it's not the same. Okay, I totally get that. But what I will say is that they are similar in methodology and similar in how we use them. And I just love them. Here's what I love about them. Number one is the trigger. It's a light, crisp trigger, and I know when it's going to break. And it's truly, with the exception of like the DWX and the Platypus and other 1911 style guns, I can truly press it straight back to the rear. There's no pivot. If a striker fired gun could do that, that would be awesome. That would be awesome. I don't know. The Hudson doesn't do it either. The Hudson pivots like from the bottom. It's actually kind of weird. So I love the trigger. I love the grip, the ergonomics, and obviously the recoil impulse. Because of the lockup of the barrel, the gun stays locked up slightly. It's almost delayed a little bit with that linkage and the timing of it, so that it's not just a modified Browning design, which again, you can get a Glock, a SIG, or whatever to shoot pretty good as well. But there's something to be said about that linkage and just how smooth you can get a 1911 or a 2011 gun to run. There's just something about it. And obviously with that precision lockup and everything else, they're just super accurate. So that's what I like about the whole platform. Now, what features would be nice for a polymer gun? My biggest thing was if we could try to improve the trigger, and then obviously just ergonomics, if we could improve that. And honestly, the M&P is close. The M&P tried to adopt a 1911 style grip angle and tried to make the ergonomics a little bit better with the M&P. And honestly, the M&P is not a bad pistol at all. So that is what I got for questions, dudes. We're caught up on emails. How do I handle the delusional beliefs about recoil? What are some magic springs? Perceptible recoil impulse. I don't know. I've changed springs out, and I feel like I can tell a little bit of difference. Now, I know some dudes are going to be like, oh my gosh, it reduces recoil by 42%. I think that's a little bit bold, but I don't know. So, all right, here we go. Let's see here. Do you shoot much steel? Have you ever been hit with spall? All the time. All the time. Oh, yeah. And Dustin said all the time. Yeah, even at TriggerCon last year, a lot of that steel was really crappy. And we were getting splashback all the time, which is why it's important to always wear Ear Pro and Eye Pro, because your ears and eyes don't grow back. Once you lose your hearing, it doesn't come back. And man, these eyeballs, they don't grow back either. So definitely always wear your Eye and Ear Pro, and it does happen. Try to maintain safe distances, 10 yards plus, if you can use frangible ammo, but it is a nature of the beast when you're shooting steel. So yeah, absolutely. I have a Staccato P. Just got it 3 months ago. Love it, man. That's one of my favorite pistols for sure. I just purchased a Rifle Speed adjustable gas block. You're not serious. Do I have any experience with it? Are you joking, Jason? I'm a little offended. I did a review on it. I was not the first, but I was one of the first to do a review on the Rifle Speed. But yeah, if you search Rifle Speed gas block review on YouTube, my video should be up towards the top. I tried to optimize it for search, but it's basically like there's a little thing of me and there's like an orange, if I recall, outline around the gas block as my thumbnail. But I actually used the mill right over there to install it. But yeah, I've been using Rifle Speed gas blocks for years, probably 2+ years. Whenever Kyle came out with that, They were at TriggerCon a couple years ago. They won the Golden Trigger Award for Most Innovative Accessory, or was it Best in Show? I can't remember. It was pretty awesome, but it was, it was pretty awesome. And they're amazing gas blocks. Like I used to use the Noveski switch block, and then I switched to like an SLR one, and then I used a Seekins one that had a little lever, and they were all cool. They did the job, but they only had like limited range. And then Rifle Speed came out with this knob and 12 adjustments, and it was beefy and robust, and like you could kind of hide it underneath the handguard a little bit. Like, thing is legit. And actually they have a new version that's a low profile knob that you can actually keep under a handguard, and then you can have a cutout of the handguard. I think that right now it might be exclusive to Agency, but super cool stuff that Kyle is doing with Rifle Speed. He's actually, him and I need to talk about some video stuff actually. But yeah, if you search for Rifle Speed gas block review, my video should come up, and they're awesome. The only downside is it uses a straight gas tube. So if you have a gas tube that wears out, which, speaking of the wearing out question, gas tubes do wear out as well, I would definitely have a few spares on hand, but otherwise, like, it's awesome. I wish I could show it to you, but unfortunately in a live stream, we can't do that due to community standards, but the Rifle Speed stuff is absolutely sick. Super high quality stuff. Definitely recommend it, especially on a gun that goes from suppressed, non-suppressed, subsonic, supersonic, all that other stuff. That's the way to do it. Let's see here. This one's from Pistol Pete. I've been bit. Nothing too bad. Yep, that's good. And then Jason just fell off the turnip truck. He must be a new viewer, and that's okay. Welcome, by the way. I appreciate it. So, yes, must have missed yours. Yeah, I feel hurt, Jason. I feel really hurt. You should have said, like, oh, yeah, I did see yours, and yours was the... No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. All right. Finally got the new Garmin Chrono. Oh my gosh, I know it. It is so cool. Like, I've been using the Garmin here for a little while. I didn't do a review because everybody's done reviews on them, and they are the best chrono out there right now. So me just doing that would like be pissing in the ocean. It really wouldn't make much of a difference. But I finally got one, and what I like is I can keep it in the range box. Whereas with the Magneto Speed, I did have one of those for a while. I had a lab radar for a while, and then I had the old shooting cronies before that, and all of them took up so much space that it was really hard for me to travel with them, especially if I was flying places. I would never bring a chronograph. And the Garmin, I just keep in the range box now because it's like the size of a GoPro. And what was cool is that at the last agency class, I wanted to get some data for their duty load. Literally, all I did was I just held it, and I was like, all right, dude, beep, boop, beep, beep, beep. And then they shot, and then we could just literally go over to the berm and do that. It is by far the best thing. If Garmin, I think, is starting to come around to the shooting sports, I'm really interested to see what those dudes come up with in the near future. So I think it'll be really cool. And plus, I kind of want to get a Garmin GPS for my side-by-side, but I'm really torn. Like, I go back and forth. I really go back and forth on that. I don't know if I want to spend the money or just get like a tablet and run some of the apps or whatever. So, but yes, it is way better than your Magneto Speed. All right, this is from Russ again. What do you think about the ghost guns? Dude, it's our constitutional right. You can manufacture your own gun, okay? Like, you can manufacture your own gun legally. It just sucks that some states are requiring, serial numbers or readily manufactured or convertible parts and all this other stuff. But you can machine something out of pretend this was metal. It's just a piece of plastic for the internet. But if this was a piece of metal and you had the equipment, you could file and do all this and turn it in there perfectly legal per federal law. So it's frustrating. It's frustrating. Now, they're going to argue, well, people used these ghost guns because, that's how they get guns, and that's how the criminals get them. The criminals are still going to try to get them no matter what. Or maybe if they're a prohibited person and they can't possess a gun, like maybe we should enforce those laws. Crazy, I know. But we could talk. Don't get me started on legalities. I don't like to always talk about legal stuff because I'm going to be honest. Sometimes I kind of go on my rants. Although now I'm kind of retired, I can kind of be a little more free with my opinions. Whereas before, when I was working and on the job, I had to definitely be aware of my opinions. Even though my old department was pretty cool with social media. It was kind of funny. The old city administrator came up with this social media policy. And it was totally geared towards me because I was doing some of this stuff part-time and kind of making a living and, doing all this other stuff. And our union was just like, okay, so define this. Like, define what this is. Well, we can't. And I said, it sure seems like, So it was kind of interesting. But it ended up working out. So, yes, and 100%. All right, dudes, somebody disliked a comment. Oh, man. We got one thumbs down. Hey, if you're brave enough, leave a comment on why the thumbs down. So everybody, can you give me a thumbs up to counteract the thumbs down? I'd really appreciate it. We're at currently 1 to 12. 1 thumbs down, 12 thumbs ups. Go ahead and leave me a thumbs up. Kick the algorithm. I would appreciate it. All right, dudes, let's do this. If you want to see your question on the show and you can't make it live, go ahead and send us an email to the email address shown on the screen, which is theqa@gunsandtactics.com. You can get us wherever you get your podcasts, all that other stuff. Normally now I would throw the rules up, but again, new computer, don't have anything, lost it all. But we're going to go ahead and give away our prize thanks to our sponsor, Global Ordnance. Global Ordnance is your one-stop shop for all of your Freedom Seeds. If you need Freedom Seeds, then go to Global, and if you use the code GTAMMO, you're going to get free shipping on any order over, so like case quantities, large heavy items, or whatever, you're going to get free shipping with GTAMMO as a code from our friends at Global Ordnance. Plus, they're giving away the prize. So let's pick our random comment. Let me go ahead back to our random comments. Random select. No way. Oh my gosh, I swear I did not make this up. Trevor, with our trophy comment, you are the random comment winner. So, Trevor, I have a prize for you. Come on over and pick it up, a local customer. I guess I like that because it just saved me a little shipping. But Trevor, with his random comment, is our winner. Again, thanks to Global Ordnance for sponsoring this. And yes, Dustin's sending a super chat, and he's going to tell me where to stick that thumb. Dustin, I could go down a whole rabbit hole. Nope. I'm just going to leave it there. But Dustin, I appreciate it. Next round of sodas is on Dustin. If you guys like the content, make sure, obviously, you like, share, and subscribe. I think that's going to do it for this episode of the QA. Let me know about NRA. If you're going, I'll be sure to report on anything cool and new that I see. Or if you guys hear about anything cool that you want me to go check out, make sure you send us a comment on social media, send us a message, all that other stuff, or email us, and we'll be more than happy to do that. Thank you guys very much for watching, and have a great day. All right, I got my thumbnail. We're going to sign off. Peace out, players.